buy something else. Well, our next guest is Carah. She is the Iran policy analyst with the Center for Arms Control. I asked Carah to join us today because there is a foreign ministry policy summit in Berlin where major nations are getting together to discuss the situation in Iran, to determine whether Iran has nuclear weapons proliferation aspirations. Sadly, we are getting contradictory information from our public sources about what Iran really is doing and what their intentions are. So it makes it very difficult for those of us on the outside looking in to determine whether or not this is of concern. Personally, I believe, despite the latest released intelligence information, which seems to suggest that Iran is not developing nuclear weapons, we should be very dubious and concerned and demand full and transparent disclosure. I believe that Iran has the right to develop nuclear energy sources, of course. But hey, we got the expert here to tell us about all this, whether I'm on the right track or not. Carah, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it is my pleasure. So let's get right down to the nitty-gritty on this. From where you sit, a person who spends her life working to ensure that the bomb doesn't get in the hands of any more nations, or God forbid, even worse, into the hands of terrorists, maybe through other nations. Are you concerned about what Iran is doing with its nuclear development program?
Well, I think we should certainly be monitoring it. The question is, do we want to be overhyping the threat? And now there are a lot of questions remaining about Iran's nuclear program. And you're right on the national intelligence estimate. It is actually very much unclear exactly in some ways what Iran is doing. On the one hand, the intelligence estimate basically says with high confidence that Iran halted a nuclear weapons program in 2003. It's interesting to note that even they're expressing with even more confidence than before that Iran did actually have a nuclear weapons program. But they're saying that was halted in 2003 and has remained on hold. Where the questions lie are in other areas of the nuclear program, primarily at their uranium enrichment facilities at Natanz, and possibly another facility, the Arak reactor, ARAK reactor, which is a heavy water reactor, and it's a number of years from being completed, probably at least 5 or so. But that would be a facility that could actually produce plutonium. So the questions, and another thing to point out about the national intelligence estimate is that it did also judge that Iran is a rational actor, that it's making decisions about its nuclear program on a cost-benefit approach. So we are dealing with rational people. Now, Iran has certainly there are certainly questions about their nuclear program, and they have been slowly responding to questions that have been posed by the International Atomic Energy Agency through an agreement that was reached in August of 2007. They have 4 to 6 weeks, depending on which diplomat you talk to respond to more questions from the International Atomic Energy Agency. Mohammed al-Baradei was just there, working with the Iranians, negotiating with them on some of these questions. So I think that process is actually very much important. The problem and the reasons for mistrust is that Iran has not been forthcoming about its program, and so it does need to be. But you are absolutely right. They have every right underneath the Non-Proliferation Treaty to pursue a nuclear program. The question is, will they accept the additional protocol? Will they accept safeguards to ensure that program remains for peaceful purposes? And then the other part of the problem is how the United States and the West and members of the Security Council have really gone about dealing with this program. When the United States and the West have really tried to ramp up sanctions against Iran, when Iran feels backed up into a corner, it tends to lash out and not comply. So we really have to think about, how we are moving forward. I mean, already with this new package of sanctions that have been announced and will be debated in the Security Council over the coming weeks, Iran has responded negatively to those sanctions already, and diplomats, within the International Atomic Energy Agency say, if this goes forward, if they do pass another round of sanctions against Iran, it's not going to be helpful for the process that is already underway between the IAEA and Iran. So this is a very tricky situation.
Well, we're coming up to the break, and we'll discuss this obviously after the break in greater detail, but this is all reminiscent of the situation in Iraq when Hans Blix came back and said, well, I don't think they have weapons of mass destruction, but they might. Yes, everything they've showed us has been clean, but they haven't shown us everything. Nobody was clear-cut on the issue, and it's very, very confusing to the public, I think. Carah Ong is our guest. She is Iran policy analyst with the Center for Arms Control. She'll be right back after this break. You're online with News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
In a world where radio has always been one dimension, it's time to get the full video experience of Doug Steffen's Good Day from Paltalk at DougSteffen.com.
Wait a minute. Did you say video with Doug Steffen's Good Day radio show?
Yes, you heard me. Hundreds of thousands of people have discovered that watching Doug Steffen and his Good Day crew is twice as fun as just listening.
Radio with pictures? Ha! It'll never work.
No. Trust me on this one.
Yeah, I bet it involves downloading a bunch of stuff and answering a bunch of questions that I don't want to answer.
No, not at all. Just go to DougSteffen.com and select the Chat Now button at the top of the page. Download the simple ActiveX file and give yourself a nickname. Then you can look in on Doug and the whole Good Day crew. You'll also get to meet and get to chat with other Good Day fans from all over the world. And of course, it's all free.
Aha! Does that mean that I'll get to see what Doug and his crew do while the commercials are playing? What do they do?
Yes, but I can't tell you that. You'll just have to go to DougSteffen.com and click on the Chat Now button to find out. Then you can watch Doug Steffen's Good Day every day for free from Doug Steffen and Paltalk.
Do you find it hard to make friends? Well, now it's easy by joining the world's #1 in chat. www.paltalk.com is where you download the software for the #1 chat program. In conjunction with Gemini Sound Radio, we're proud to be a part of the most awesome chat program around the world today. Once again, to download the software, visit www.paltalk.com. Alternatively, you can join the chat room here at Gemini Sound Radio by visiting the website at www.geminisoundradio.co.uk. Click the link, come say hi to the DJs and the listeners.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet, with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and distributed by our good friends at CRM Digital Talk Radio to cable systems, serving an additional 12 million households. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten. Our guest now on News Talk Online on Paltalk is Carah Ong. She is the Iran policy analyst with the